In Lebanon, at least 12 people were reported killed during an airstrike by Israeli forces. 14 people have been killed when a concrete roof above the entrance of a railway station in the northern Serbian city of Novi Sad collapsed. And the government of Spain confirms that the death toll from the floods caused by the Dana exceeds 200 people. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from TeleSUR Studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Lebanon, at least 12 people were reported killed during an airstrike by Israeli forces against the city of Amhaz in the east of the country. The authorities reported that the recent bombings were aimed at destroying the residential areas of Baalbek. During the relief efforts, fire crews reported dozens of injured and trapped victims under the rubble. Also, firefighting teams managed to extinguish a fire in a house hit by an Israeli attack in the town of Tarija. The Lebanese resistance Hezbollah informed that over 95 Israeli soldiers and officers have been killed since Israel's incursion into the country's southern region. The movement's operation room also reported that 900 soldiers were wounded and 42 Merkava tanks, 4 military bulldozers, 2 Hummer vehicles, 1 armored vehicle and 1 troop carrier were destroyed as well. Hezbollah also confirmed the destruction of 5 drones. Despite the Israeli air siege in southern Lebanon, the militias managed to launch several daily rocket attacks against positions in northern and central Israel. Authorities in Palestine reported at least 55 civilians killed after 3 massacres perpetrated by the Israeli army in the Gaza Strip during the last 24 hours. The Palestinian Health Ministry said that the dead, most of them women and children, were transferred to the Al-Aqsa hospital in Deir al-Balah. The Health Ministry also said that dozens of people were injured as a result of the Israeli bombardment of several residential areas in the center of the Palestinian territory. Search and rescue operations continued throughout the day on Friday as efforts continue to locate the missing persons trapped under the rubble. The Vice President of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, maintains an intense agenda in Algeria, the African country where she landed on Thursday with the purpose of strengthening cooperation ties. The vice mandate, who is also the Minister of Petroleum of the Bolivarian nation, held an important meeting with Mohamed Arkab, Minister of Energy and Mining of Algeria. The meeting served to reaffirm work commitments which will allow them to jointly face global economic and political challenges. They also discussed common agreements reached by President Nadir Larbaoui and Nicolás Maduro, the President of Venezuela, who recently visited the African nation. Algeria is the third largest economy of the continent and one of the countries with the highest volume of gas exports, a market in which Venezuela is entering for the first time in its history. An attack at a secondary school in the Pakistani town of Kanak in the western Pakistani province of Baluchistan left 7 people dead, including 3 children. Superintendent Nisar Ahmad Balok stated that the attack was directed against a police vehicle which was very close to the educational center. In addition to the 5 minors, an officer and a bystander were also killed, and at least 30 people, mostly students, are being treated at the headquarters and a hospital in Mastung. The Chief Minister of Baluchistan, Sarfaraz Bukhti, condemned this attack and denounced that terrorists are targeting children and innocent civilians. We're going to take a short break now, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. The United Nations Conference on Biodiversity COP16, which was held in the city of Cali, concluded on Friday in Colombia with the purpose of protecting marine areas of global ecological importance and the protection of species and ecosystems. During this closing day, topics such as the mobilization of funds and the access to information on genetic resources were discussed. This meeting became a scenario of dialogue and consensus, where agreements have been approved showing the shared responsibility among the members of the protection of areas vital to the planet. The event also promoted the active participation of indigenous peoples, local communities and other groups in the process of ecosystem conservation, supported by funding from several countries for scientific and technical workshops. The United Nations Security Council renewed for one more year its mandate in Western Sahara amidst abstentions from Russia and Mozambique, while Algeria opted not to vote. Algeria's United Nations Permanent Representative Amar Benjama criticized the decision on the grounds that it didn't deliberately take into account his government's views on the issue. On the other hand, Mozambique's United Nations Ambassador Pedro Comissario claimed that without his government's amendments, the resolution would not help the parties achieve a just, lasting and mutually acceptable political solution. For his part, the Russian representative Vasily Nevencia said the resolution would not foster a mutually acceptable solution and that Russia's recommendations to address stagnant peace efforts were also ignored. 14 people have been killed when a concrete roof above the entrance of a railway station in the northern Serbian city of Novi Sad collapsed. The collapse of a 35-meter length of roofing occurred at noon on a sunny day in the city, about 70 kilometers northwest of the capital, Belgrade. The dead were pulled from the rubble throughout the afternoon and into the evening. According to officials, about 80 rescuers were at the scene, and ambulances and emergency teams were dispatched to the downtown station, and bulldozers removed debris. Japan and the European Union announced a security and defense partnership as they seek to step up military ties amid growing tensions with China, North Korea and Russia. The announcement was made Friday during a press conference in Tokyo given by the European Union Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell and Japanese Foreign Minister Takeshi Iwaya. According to the two officials, the agreement is the first that the European Union has concluded with an Asia-Pacific country. The European Union top diplomat affirmed that partnerships among friends was the only antidote to this challenging world of growing rivalries, climate accidents and threats of war. North Korea said it will back Russia until it achieves victory in Ukraine, as the United States warned that thousands of Pyongyang's troops were at the Ukrainian border and could soon be deployed into combat. The announcement was made in Moscow Friday by North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Song-hui during a meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. In the meeting, Cho also accused the United States and South Korea of plotting a nuclear strike against its country. The North Korean official assured that her country had no doubt that under Putin's leadership, the Russian army and its people would achieve a great victory in what she described as a sacred struggle to protect the sovereign rights and security interests of their state. In this context, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned recent attacks against civilians in the Sudanese state of Jazeera amid escalating violence in that country. The United Nations chief expressed his concern about the high number of deaths, detentions and people displaced, as well as the acts of sexual violence against women and girls, the looting of homes and markets and the burning of farms. Guterres also warned that these acts may constitute serious violations of international humanitarian law and human rights. The United Nations top official called for the accountability of the perpetrators while warning about the expansion of hunger and disease in the country after more than a year of conflict. Kenya's new Vice President Kindiki Kithure was sworn in following the ouster of his predecessor Rigathi Gachagua. The Supreme Court authorized the promotion of Kithure to the position after he passed a series of exams. His name was proposed by President William Ruto for the approval of the lower house. This was motivated by the dismissal of Gachagua for allegedly committing crimes of corruption and illicit enrichment. The government of Spain confirms that the death toll from the floods caused by the Dana exceeds 200 people. This was announced by the Integrated Operational Coordination Center of Valencia, adding that the number of missing persons is still to be determined. Local authorities requested the presence of volunteers with vehicles and large means of transportation, as well as tools to support the work of removing debris and cleaning up the municipalities. The government maintains the event as an emergency situation too, which means that it exceeds the capacity of local agency and it is expected to extend. We have a second short break coming up, but before, let's see what our colleague Belén de los Santos will bring in this next segment dedicated to the U.S. general elections. Hi Belén, what details can you share with us?
Hi Alejandra, that's right. In just a few minutes, we'll go over the latest tops of the candidates and the key topics that are on discussion and everything you need to know ahead of this election in this special segment, United States Decides 2024.
Thank you, Belén. Thank you. Final short break. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Now let's begin with our new special segment with our colleague Belén de los Santos.
Thank you, Ale, and I welcome our audience to this special segment dedicated to follow the latest in the days leading up to the U.S. presidential election. My name is Belén de los Santos, and this is United States Decides. And with 4 days to go until the presidential election that will define United States political scene for the coming years, Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Kamala Harris continue campaigning in the swing states. As we have been reporting these past days, candidates are focusing their last efforts on those states that are still at a virtual tie according to polls and will define the election. On Thursday night, while Vice President Kamala Harris held a rally in Las Vegas, Nevada, and got the support and in-person endorsement of pop singer Jennifer Lopez, Donald Trump gave a live interview with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson at the Desert Diamond Arena in Arizona. In both cases, they stuck to their talking points that they have marked with their campaigns in this final stretch. For his part, and following a strategy that has become the trademark of the far right worldwide, Republican Donald Trump once again pushed the narrative that a Democrat win could only be achieved through cheating, something that has apparently stuck with part of his voters and that played a significant role in the January 6th assault on the Capitol. Let's listen.
We got to keep their cheating down, but think of this. With all I've been through, with these animals coming and what they've done to this country, how they've hurt this country between the borders and between the weaponization, and think of it, I'm leading by a lot. I'm leading in every single swing state with all of the stuff they've done.
If everything goes legally, it will be overwhelming for Trump. You go around the country and you see the crowds. We don't have to have Beyonce concerts promised to come and see Trump. It depends on if they pull their little tricks and hide ballots under tables and how things are handled and how things are counted. But we hope that things go fairly and that Trump gets another chance to have his second 4 years.
Meanwhile, at her Las Vegas rally on Thursday, Democrat Kamala Harris made an effort to present her candidacy as a way to overcome polarizing politics in the country as she tries to win the center vote that is set to be key in this election.
And we are election to turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump trying to keep us divided and afraid of each other. We're done with that. We're done. We're exhausted with it. And we know that is who he is. That is who he is. But Las Vegas, that is not who we are. That is not who we are. And it is time for a new generation of leadership in America.
And in this context, Harris focused her address on the two topics the Democrats think could give them the lead: positioning in favor of women's autonomy, specifically related to abortion, and distancing herself from the anti-Latino remarks from Trump's campaign. Jennifer Lopez's endorsement also came to highlight these issues.
So he said that he will do what he wants, now I'm about to quote, whether the women like it or not. This is the same person who said that women should be punished for their choices. He simply, well, I hear you, but you know what? You know what? The courts are going to handle that. The courts will handle that. We'll handle November. How about that?
I believe in the power of women. Ladies, where are my ladies at? Let me hear you. Yes. I believe that women have the power to make the difference in this election.
Buenas noches, buenas noches.
I am Puerto Rican. Soy Boricua carajo. And yes, I was born here, and we are Americans.
Meanwhile, both Trump and Harris will focus their campaigning efforts on Friday in another key swing state, Midwestern Wisconsin. With a population rounding the 5.9 million people and the economy among voters' key concerns, the state that has 10 delegates up for grabs has played a significant role in past elections, being won by Trump over Hillary Clinton in 2016 and then by Biden against Trump in 2020, in both cases by less than 1 percentage point. And now moving on to another of the main topics of discussion in this campaign, immigration topped the list of the U.S. voter concern in 2024. The management of the so-called immigration crisis and the integration of immigrants into society took center stage both in the campaigns of the main presidential candidates and in voter polls. Let's learn a little bit more in the following material.
According to an analysis made by the Gallup consulting firm, immigration has been the most mentioned issues among those that have generated the highest political polarization in the U.S. in the last 25 years. The report shows that 27% of the people surveyed consider immigration the most important problem facing the nation. This trend has remained stable since December 2023, when the U.S. Customs and Border Protection records one of the highest numbers of migrants at the border with Mexico for the last decade. This large influx puts pressure on the U.S. immigration authorities, whose ability to process such a large number of people at the border can get seriously undermined. This result comes despite the fact that about 14% of the country's population, or 1 in 4 people, are foreign-born or have parents born outside the U.S. After a drop during the COVID-19 pandemic, largely to the restrictions imposed by the administration of former President Donald Trump and then maintained in part by his successor Joe Biden, migrant arrivals at the border with Mexico hit record highs of more than 2.3 million in 2022 and 2.4 million in 2023. At the beginning of Biden administration's first fiscal year in 2021, the number of monthly encounters with irregular migrants stood at about 72,000. By May 2024, the number exceeded 170,000, despite the fact that in January 2023, the Biden administration had pushed through a humanitarian parole program combined with restrictions on irregular crossing, aimed at decreasing the entries of Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, Cubans, and Haitians, which are the nationalities with the highest representation in the migration registered up to that time.
And that's all for today's special segment in which we analyze the latest on the road to the U.S. Election Day. Stay tuned to TeleSUR English as we continue bringing you the latest updates, and also join us next week for our special media coverage, U.S. Decides 2024. Back to you, Ale.
Thank you, Belle. We were listening to our colleague Belén de los Santos with an overview of the upcoming general elections in the United States. And with this special segment, we have come to the end of this news brief. But you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.